We can't see ourselves, of course.
Really?
All right. I believe that's our cue. Good to be with
Very
everyone
nice.
tonight.
Just a moment.
Thank you, insiders, for being patient. And we're anxious to share
Mhm.
kind of a quick update and some insights and catch up with everyone. Hope everyone's having a wonderful late fall, early winter. Yeah. It's interesting. This time of year, Utah turns very wet. The moisture makes the ranch difficult. And how's it been out there lately, guys? Are we together? Hello?
I can't do it.
What's going on?
We
We have such a delay. We're hearing you twice, so I don't know which one to respond.
We got to figure out what's going on here first.
We just need to turn down the youth.
Can we turn up the volume down on the second one?
this one here.
Is it me? What's going on? Am I repeating?
Okay, I think we've got it.
I would say kill the YouTube one because it's delayed.
Yeah,
Do
I've
we
got
need
it. Yeah, I think I have it solved.
Do we need to
All
restart
right,
this?
we're good. We're good.
Can you hear us, Brandon? Okay.
Oh, I can hear you fine. Yeah,
Okay.
nothing needs
So
to
what was
hear.
happening is we had both the Vimeo and the YouTube stream going, and so it was like hearing you twice talking about things. So it was just we didn't know how to respond.
So we had the YouTube up, so we were hearing you, but then we weren't seeing it for like 6-7 seconds.
Oh, how funny! I was like, I was missing what was up. I didn't know. I figured something.
Sorry.
Technical.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
I love it.
Good to be with you. It looks like we've got a visitor.
Hi.
We have a special guest tonight. You want to introduce yourself, Dan?
Hi, Dan.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good.
Very well.
So, this is your first time on The Insider, correct? Hey, Dan, is this your first time? This is your first time on The Insider, correct?
Yeah.
So Dan was the recent History Channel sweepstakes winner, insider, who had the privilege of coming out to the ranch with an associate to tour the property for the day and get briefed on the scope and scale of the investigation. Before I dive into my recent trip to Egypt and some of the insights that may have some bearing on what we're experiencing at the ranch or relevance, I think it'd be great to hear your perspective. Dan is as the most recent outsider let into the ranch and visiting. Kind of, would you mind telling everyone, all of the insiders that have tuned in, kind of give a brief overview relative to your experience? What was it like? What were your impressions of the ranch?
At first, I was kind of awed by my company because great bunch of guys there, really personable. Couldn't meet a better bunch of people, really. Going onto the ranch, I was excited at first. Got a little woozy there for a little bit, then got better and enjoyed the rest of the ranch and got some really great pictures of you guys and of other things out there. But it was really great. Overall,
Awesome.
I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
Very good. What was there anything that surprised you about the property?
It's just like any other property that you'd go out to, except strange things happen out there. Probably. It's just like every other place you'd ever go out to in a ranch. It's just,
Doesn't
look anything special, does it? Not really. I mean, once you have great views and great peaks and stuff like that, which I wish we had here in Texas. It's mainly flat here. But I mean, literally, it looks like a ranch, like a working ranch.
Dan, I'd like you to tell us a little about your trip out. Talk about how you got out here and your approach to the ranch and any thoughts that you had.
Well, I entered the History Channel sweepstakes and kind of put in as many as I could in a day entries in, and then when they told me, I was just dumbfounded. It was really exciting to know that I was going to be able to go out to the ranch and actually meet you guys and actually do a tour of some place that is one of my top bucket list items to do. As my friend said, Area 51, Skinwalker Ranch, and Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory are probably the three great places you go to. And I've been to Skinwalker Ranch, so that's pretty great.
Because you got the golden ticket.
Oh boy!
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you know, Dan, you had me worried for a few minutes there because when you first got here, I mean, right off the bat, you had an incident. I thought we were going to have to evacuate you off the ranch before you even got going, but luckily, those symptoms subsided. You want to share what happened when? I mean, right after you got to the ranch, we got in the command center.
Walked into the command center, sat down. We were having a discussion. Everything was going great. All of a sudden, just started getting a metallic taste in my mouth, like had a mouthful of pennies or something like that. Felt a little off, and then just as soon as it happened, it was pretty much almost gone.
Do you
It
remember
just
the point at which you first noticed that, Dan?
What's that?
Do you remember the point at which you first noticed that? Where were you? What were the circumstances?
I was sitting about where Thomas is, looking towards you guys, and just all of a sudden, just got that metallic taste and nauseous feeling. It was like not even maybe 10 minutes after coming into the building.
And you were the only one that had that sensation, I think. I don't think any of us had it either.
No, everybody else seemed fine. Yeah, it was just like it was there for 5, maybe 3, 4 minutes, and then it was gone. It was real quick and real fast, but it was unusual.
I want to say we were actually having the conversation of like warning him about what.
Yeah,
What to expect
we were just
also.
getting into the some of the caveats
Yeah,
concerning some of the things that folks experience out here. It's interesting that the timing is very suggestive.
Yeah.
yeah. It was
Well, it
interesting.
was great to have you out, and it's it's an interesting place. As I tell people often, I owned the property for 6 months before I myself actually witnessed something that was unusual with my own eyes, and along with the other events that occurred that day. But it was good to have you out. Do you have any advice? Anything you'd like to? Because you probably have about 1 million people out there, Dan, that are dying to hear kind of what your impressions are, or anything as any takeaways as you left the ranch.
I was humbled. Um, had don't recommend going out there without permission, and watch your health.
Yeah,
But other than
very
that,
good.
it was best experience I could have ever had. It was great. I mean, I had the best time, and I'd love to go out there again anytime. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. I I I think we were all excited to see who was the lucky recipient, the lucky winner. I mean, since we don't allow any public access of the property for so many reasons, everything from liability to the fact that bad things happen. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's unpredictable. It's transient, and it's an ongoing sensitive scientific investigation. Anytime someone new comes on the property, or something is introduced into the environment, it adds another variable. It can either be positive potentially if it's part of a structured, science endeavor, or it can be a distraction or complicate things. Do you have anything to add, guys, to that? Kind of the sentiments behind kind of the fact that this is a secure location for a reason?
Brandon, when we came out, or at least during my first visit, we came out back in 2016. I don't recall any specific efforts to,
No, there's a picture.
conduct any particular experiment, take any particular data. It was all very extemporaneous, and of course there were a lot of things that we experienced then. I really treasure the opportunity, under controlled conditions, of course, but I treasure the opportunity to bring new individuals out and to get their perspectives, because as we've said many times, it would appear that the ranch is like a novelty detector, responding as if to whatever the new element is. And in this case, arguably, that would be Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
What's this picture? What is this picture that's up?
What
on
am I
the
seeing here?
That is with you, Brandon, as we were going when we stopped at the triangle. We just took some quick pictures right there and then drove on. Well, later on, after looking back through the pictures, we saw this one with a little halo around it that we blew up. The
Wow.
original picture is the full windshield and everything, but that's just the little picture part that we blew up on it.
Wow.
I thought that was weird.
Very
Didn't know
cool.
what it was.
Thanks for sharing. That's fantastic. It's funny, Eric. You bring up that first fateful day when you came out to the ranch, and what ended up ensuing. I mean, I think it's safe to say that I don't think you had any expectation. I didn't have any expectation.
None. I had no expectations at all. You're exactly right.
But for some reason, and it reacts to people differently, I think the ranch seems to amplify consciousness, intent. If you bring a malevolent, and not malevolent, but if you bring kind of a contentious attitude or spirit, it seems to be amplified in various ways. And I think if you're the opposite, it also seems to have some type of reflexive quality. You guys have anything to add to that?
Well, I think to a man, each one of us has at least, the ability in our experience, we can actually say that we find support for the idea that, yeah, there may be more than just a something to engage with out here.
Yeah.
It certainly feels that way sometimes, and we're walking a very fine line, between what we know for sure and our what we are tempted to speculate when it comes to the timing of things, how suggestive it is, the feeling that there may be some volitional agent or a someone on the other side. And, so that's why I pay special attention to, the experiences of someone like Dan, who comes out for the very first time and cites, what he experienced, because it is, you only get one chance at a very first experience, very first observation.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that I admit that I get nervous when we're bringing people on the first time, because we've had such a wide range of reactions. I mean, I've literally seen somebody walk inside here and basically collapse on the couch. We thought we were going to have to rush.
Yeah.
It was a guest we had brought on during filming, and I thought we were going to have to rush her to the hospital. I personally accompanied somebody across that was their first time on, where it looked like they went into cardiac arrest right at the triangle. And I had to immediately rush him off the property. We were headed to the emergency room. But I mean, he couldn't breathe. He was flushed. His face was like he was perspiring heavily. he was gasping, trying to breathe. And so when you have those experiences with somebody, it's very traumatic. And then, I also have the responsibility once a year of accompanying an individual from our insurance company. They want to come out and they want to inspect the property. And they want to see how we're conducting things, because obviously they're the ones that are insuring us, and they take it very seriously as well. And so these are all things that go through my mind, when we bring people on, and mostly it's just the health and safety of our guests, which we just have no way of being able to know for sure how they're going to react to it. So
Yeah. Do you guys see the picture of me and Eric?
Yeah, I can see that. I remember
So-
that day. I remember that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, that's Eric Bard. First day at the ranch, within the first few minutes, actually, after arrival, Eric summoned me up to the top of the mesa where his phone was malfunctioning, was actually flashing purple, magenta, and acting strangely. And of course, we know later in the day it repeated itself out at Homestead 2, and Eric had the presence of mind to actually screen capture that moment and that image for us to further analyze. But that was a fateful day. That's October 14th, 2016. That was the day it all changed for me as well. But yeah, it's a unique experience. Well, Dan, we appreciate you tuning in.
I thank you
Congratulations.
guys very much for having me, and thank you very much. You
Yeah,
guys were great.
It was a pleasure knowing you. You tell all the insiders that you survived, and we'll look forward to having you follow as we reveal a lot in the months ahead. So,
Can't wait.
thank you so much. Good
Thank you,
evening.
Dan.
Dan, thank you.
It was our pleasure. Yeah, so I got to say, Brandon, just candidly, I was quite surprised and actually, I appreciated Dan being as forthcoming as he was about this metallic taste that he described, the experience that he was having as he sat here at the table with us. I didn't expect that. Of course, I had no expectations going into his visit. But this falls right in line with the experiences that many of us, as well as some of our visitors, have had in the past. And it's clearly part of a pattern.
We were
Yeah.
actually, we all had that conversation about when Dan and his boss came out, how we actually had the conversation of we felt we were lucky that it was those two that came out, because we had no, opportunity of knowing who was coming out. It was, just as much of a surprise to us as who was coming out here as it was to Dan, I'm sure. So, and having conversations with Dan and him being out here and him being being an insider made it that much more enjoyable, I think, because he, like a lot of you insiders, you know what's going on a little bit more. And again, I think it was just a really positive experience having them out here.
Yes.
It was funny. I was surprised the History Channel actually had him come out. They brought them out from Salt Lake City in a chauffeured Maybach, in style. They really rolled out the red carpet for our winner. In fact, for those of you at home that may not know what a Maybach is or what it looks like, let me see. Let's see. I'll share. This is a Maybach. It's the most upscale Mercedes, essentially chauffeur-ready sedan. This is what they were transported out to Skinwalker Ranch in. The driver stood there quietly all day until we'd concluded the visit, and it was pretty interesting. So,
Well, it's a little extracurricular, but I have to say I enjoyed the conversation that I had with the driver He's Ukrainian, and of course, I speak his language. And we had a wonderful conversation. He did not even know that there was. He didn't know the nature of our research or anything about the televised effort. And I was just as interested in hearing about his experiences back in Ukraine with everything that's going on there as I was in describing to him what this ranch is really all about.
Yeah, I thought that what a fun experience to hear you interact with him.
Yes,
Eric, you everyone that I speak to after you speak Russian says that you speak it like like it's your first language, which is funny.
I still feel like I struggle with it, but yeah, he said the same thing.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was fun.
So I recently went to Egypt. Actually spent 10 days and co-hosted a group of leaders, including former Governor Herbert, who has been a friend of the ranch and has been part of the collective effort and has been briefed repeatedly on the ongoing effort. Having Governor Herbert there and a number of others was interesting also because we had an armed detail. We had guards with us the whole time, especially because of the events that are going on in that part of the world in the Gaza Strip. Cairo is an interesting place, but I had the opportunity on this trip to interact with a gentleman who many refer to as the real life Indiana Jones. His name is Dr. Zahi Hawass, and this is him.
Does that translate to Indiana Jones in English?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So this is Dr. Hawass, and he's the real life Indiana Jones. That's him, out there on an excursion. But George Lucas apparently back in the 70s, early 70s, ended up interviewing Dr. Hawass, and he was largely apparently the inspiration behind the Raiders of the Lost Ark and everything that ensued. But he had some interesting perspectives on the current state of Egyptology and archaeology, and it was very evident that he is anxious to have Egyptians, not foreigners, make the next big discoveries out there. And he was very proud of their culture, of their history. And as I looked at those megalithic structures, these huge monuments, you look at the Great Pyramid, 470 some odd feet tall, constructed reportedly. There's different theories on it, but I think there's consensus right now that it was 2500 to 2700 BC, or in other words, 4,500 years ago, constructed, and quite an engineering marvel. And there's talk of there being certain energies, that these are batteries or some type of very purpose built structures that channel not only energies but carry people into the afterlife and beyond. But Dr. Hawass, one of the things that was most fascinating about what he shared, this is him in front of the Sphinx, is when asked by Governor Herbert, what is the greatest thing that you've taken away from your archaeology, from all of your decades of work out here? And he said, well, and I'm paraphrasing here, Dr. Hawass said it's important to note that civilization and major advancements in civilization and building, engineering, has been really driven by a belief in the afterlife. You look at everything from these incredible Egyptian structures to the tombs, to even the cathedrals of Europe, and the engineering marvels that these all not only are, but they also became centers of commerce and culture. And the fact that the cultural advancement and everything that followed that was really driven by a belief in the afterlife and all of the surrounding elements. But I thought that was an interesting statement. I thought it was pretty insightful. You guys, what are your thoughts, you guys? I mean, do you have anything to add to that? I was surprised that when he brought it up, it was not what I was expecting. You guys there? Can you hear me? Huh. Oh, the command center mic is muted. I think. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry, insiders. We're just trying to. We're always plagued by these damn technical difficulties. Anyways, I can't hear any of our team for some reason all of a sudden. But
From the mic.
oh, there, I can hear you now.
Can you hear
Okay,
us now?
so what I've done, Brandon, is to simply cycle the connectivity of the microphone. I apologize for the silence, but nothing. We took no steps here to mute the microphone. It must have done it on its own.
Oh, bummer. Well, sorry. I think I don't mean to make you guys repeat yourselves. You heard the question, right? What were you offering as far as perspective on that? Just out of curiosity.
Well, actually, I wanted to ask a question. You know, you showed in that first image that you showed. I'd like to know where that picture was taken. In the first in your sequence, you know, I'd like to know a little more about your interaction there, and also where. Yeah, that's actually back to the very first one. Yes,
This one?
So when you were photographed there, where is that actually being taken?
That's that's at the Four Seasons. We actually met up, had a dinner for a kind of a meeting room where we were able to take some time privately, and that's in the lobby of. It's not the main lobby, but in the Four Seasons.
So that gave you an opportunity to just have some quiet conversation.
Yeah, hours. We spent hours, so it was actually quite an interesting discussion. But I found that the most interesting part of the discussion, at least for me, was his observation relative to the afterlife and his statement. And I don't know why I found that so profound, but anyways. And I'm sorry you guys were muted earlier. I was anxious to hear if there was anything useful, and I'll just keep going. But
I see it.
No, I just find it all fascinating.
So, a couple things. You know, not only are these structures built by the ancients meant to channel to some degree, I think, various not only effects but also carry people into the afterlife, and they're all very purpose built and driven. One interesting place that we went to was the Valley of the Kings, where you have all of these. You have 65 tombs, and these are elaborate tombs cut deep into the earth, passageways that are incredibly ornate in some cases. They, in and of just the task that you'd have to go through in order to excavate that, they're just a marvel. One tomb in particular, we were told was haunted. There were spectral images. There were dark entities that would appear, that would manifest, and of course, hearing that from the guide, we had to go check it out. And so this is the entrance. This is going way down into the tomb. This goes deep into the earth. That's my wife. We ended up going down into it. It was an interesting place. At the very bottom, there was a huge stone sepulcher. And on the exterior were some really interesting images. In fact, I did not observe any petroglyphs during our entire time there at all of the various sites that were like this. In fact, this image here with the Egyptian princess apparently adorned in white was really interesting. But this was deep down in there. But my wife ended up having an experience, and she was going ahead. I pushed her ahead, and we were the only ones. In fact, there really wasn't a crowd or anyone. It was a bit off the beaten path. It wasn't one of the more popular tourist landmarks, and she ended up having an experience. I'll play the video. Let's see. In her own words. So down in the tomb, after she had this experience, I wanted to get a record of it, and I'll see if I can turn this up. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Sorry, the pixelization. The sound's not coming across, apparently. You probably can't hear that. Let me see. Well, she ended up seeing this dark kind of shadow pass down below us in one of the deeper chambers, and there was no one there. Long story short, there was no one there when we got down the steps. And so, anyways, it was interesting. We had another member of our party, totally separate, who had a similar experience, which she ended up not only having experience, but she was ended up quite ill. So it was interesting.
Can you hear us, Brandon?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Excellent.
We
Yes.
were trying to talk to you earlier, and that didn't seem as if you could hear us.
Yeah. When you were sharing something that may be very important, what we were seeing is a matrix of images, probably a directory. I'd like to know if it's possible for you to share the content that you were describing. It sounded really interesting.
Yeah, we didn't see any video. All we could see was your directory.
Oh, let me try to screen share again.
Okay.
And I'm hoping everyone can see. I'll try to go back to that directory.
Okay.
The audience.
Can you guys see this? Do you see Dr. Hawass?
Yes,
Yeah,
we do.
yes,
Yes,
we do.
yes.
Now we see it.
We are going into the haunted tomb is right there on the
Got
right
it.
with my wife, with
Yes.
Kristen. By the way, here are the Great Pyramids. This is from my camera, just kind of capturing a shot as we were driving in. Yeah, they're just enormous. They're incredible. But as I flip through some of these images here, and I'm glad you guys can hear me. One thing that surprised me, we've all heard of King Tut's tomb, and how it was found. It was one of the only, if not the only, I think the only tomb that's fully intact of royalty, since most of them have been robbed. Do you see this? Do you see?
Yes. Yes.
That's actually Tut. That's King Tut's tomb. That's actually his mummy.
Wow.
There. They've kept it intact and in place, even though all of the other decorations and everything else were brought out of the tomb. Pretty interesting. But yeah, there really was a truly unusual experience that occurred in the depths of one of those royal tombs. That not only not only do I trust my wife's witness, but it was funny after we got out of there, independent of her. I mean, she hadn't even shared her experience. One of the other members of our party ended up having a similar experience. This is me at the Karnak Temple, which is incredible. I mean, I still, it's an engineering marvel to think of this being built thousands of years before Christ. Just the scale. I'm surprised that these people aren't flying around in flying cars, and that they didn't end up creating free energy and exploring the solar system with how advanced they were, 4,500 years ago. Um, it's it's really kind of a, a rough place. I mean, people, their quality of life there is a bit challenging for so many. But anyways, any questions? Do you guys have any questions? I thought it was an interesting
Well,
educational experience.
I'd love to see the video if you can play it, Brandon, so we can see it. I mean, you described it, but there was no video associated with when you were talking about it.
Let me give it a shot again. Let's see if
Yeah,
I can.
that'd be great. I'm really anxious to see it.
This is an obelisk at Karnak. Again, just an incredible structure. Um, Let me try right now. I'll see if I can get the video to go of the testimony. Let's see. Ah,
I can hear it.
We can hear some audio from it, but we do not
okay.
see the video.
All right, let's see. Can you see the video?
No.
Negative.
No, we're currently seeing an obelisk.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, let me try this again. Sorry.
No problem. I know it's a lot.
No, it shouldn't be. Should be quite actually easy for everyone. My bad. So let me see if I can navigate this. I'm pulling it up now. Let's see. We'll see if I succeed.
There we go.
Oh, it says it looks like we don't support this file format.
Okay.
So
Maybe it won't work, Brandon. I don't know.
yeah, apparently it doesn't within this format, and I apologize to everyone for the inconvenience. But
No problem.
I did carefully document it, and it
So,
was.
Can you give us a synopsis of her testimony? Just because I know that a lot was based on hearing the video. Can you give us just one more synopsis of exactly what she experienced and the other individual experienced?
Yeah, she made her way deep into this tomb, into this royal tomb, and it went in. I mean, we're talking hundreds of feet down deep into the earth. There was a chamber that we were coming up on down below, and she saw this shadow pass, and she actually thought that it was an Egyptian, that there was some Egyptian in robe that quickly passed beneath and cast a shadow, because it seemed like everywhere we went, we were being solicited. There were beggars everywhere. I mean, everywhere we go, someone had their hand out, and they were constantly asking for anything. Even in the tombs, we'd enter tombs in the Valley of the Kings, and there would be people kind of hiding out, waiting to either try to just hit you up for money or ask for a picture or something like that. It was really interesting. But anyway, she thought it was just one of those people. And when she got down in there into the chamber, not only was there no one down there, but we went down all the way to the end and there wasn't anyone. So there was no way in or out. I mean, this is deep in the earth. She did feel sick. She was kind of overcome with a bit of fatigue, not because of the steps down, but just overcome for whatever reason. Felt kind of nauseous and sick immediately following the incident. And when we got out and we met up with the group, a couple that followed us up the hill and made access. I think they went through about 20 minutes after we did. The wife came up and was excitedly sharing her experience, that she'd experienced something in the exact same space as she described it, which was really interesting. So that was a fun highlight and intriguing highlight of the trip. But really incredible structures. Karnak Temple, an engineering marvel, the second largest temple complex in the world, second to Angkor Wat. But it's much older. We're talking about thousands of years before Christ, as opposed to, I think, 1,000 years. So really enlightening trip. And it was amazing to see how how advanced these ancients were. And so, how does that apply to Skinwalker Ranch? Well, we know we have megalithic structures. They're not sophisticated or as sophisticated, at least on the surface, as what we've seen in Egypt. But carving in rock, seeing star charts, what appear to be carvings that line up with with the stars, with the constellations, and very purpose built structures that seem to have some type of resonant energy or some purpose behind it. I think you see some parallels with the ancient world back east. And anyways,
Sure. Let me ask you this, Brandon. Do you think that your wife's experiences there were because of her time? Maybe she was more sensitive to things having had the experience she has on the ranch, or if you're comfortable sharing with that, or do you think it was just a different place and a different time? We're trying to tie these things together.
It's tough to say. She's had experiences on the ranch. She had, her first really powerful experience was in the Homestead One in the ranch house, where she saw this honeycomb, this artificial grid-like structure that was suspended in the air as she was visiting with Candace Lindy, and she looked away from it just to see if it was some optical illusion or something that was playing with her vision. And she looked back, and it was clear as day there, suspended in the air, and then blinked out after a few seconds.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if she's sensitive. Whether she here's the thing: the guide, I think it's specific to that area, to that tomb. Whatever inhabits that tomb, the entity or entities plural that inhabit that tomb have manifested, made themselves known enough that the guide warned us, that told us that if you go up into that area, and it was off the beaten path. This was not one of the main tourist trap tombs. It was not one of the ones that you would naturally want to see. It was probably we were the only ones down in there when we went, which was, and there were hordes of people visiting King Tut's tomb and so many of the others. And so it was, I don't know. It was an interesting experience. We'll see if there are any takeaways. Did we have any hitchhikers follow us home from Egypt? No.
Okay. Well, that's good.
But, yeah. Anyways, passing the baton back to you guys. What talk to us about activity on the ranch? What is let's kind of give us an update. As we prepare for winter, and you guys are mobilized, and we have some visitors, we have some people collaborating over the next few days on various items. Is there anything that you want to share with the insiders as we're kind of entering this next chapter, moving into winter?
Well, certainly as the seasons change, it's an aggressive thrust to get as much as we can done, taking advantage of mild weather or cool weather rather than bone-chilling cold weather. There's a lot to get done. You'll probably see activity out on the ranch. Those who are watching the live stream will undoubtedly see and hear us doing things at various places on the ranch.
Not always the most gracefully.
Do you want to share your experience?
No. So what? I fell off the roof at Homestead 2 today. I'm fine. I didn't break anything. I was up there retrieving a camera and fell off the roof. It's fine. So if you heard a loud thud and maybe a few curse words, that was me.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're not hurt. Holy crap.
Just my pride. As typical male thing, jump up and make sure no one was watching when it happened first.
Yeah.
Make sure no one saw you, then you're okay to get back to things again. But no, I'm fine. It was just silly.
So I see an indication that our audio might be getting redundant. Are you hearing us okay?
Yeah, you're stuttering a little bit. I think, before I pass the baton to you guys and I have to go to this other event, I just want to take a moment, and you guys can pick up the baton as well. I think the Insider program, without question, is a key part of this investigation and this effort. And and I really do want to give thanks and acknowledge our insiders, those of you who have tuned in. I just finished giving a speech. I think there were 700 people there at a Utah business conference, and people wanted to hear of the investigation at Skinwalker Ranch and specifically asked that I speak to it. And one of the things that I was able to highlight was the 24-hour live stream and the fact that we have insiders data logging and participating with the team, specifically with Eric as well.
Yes.
And I showed that incident from February at 1:39 a.m. when it was 10, 15 degrees outside, not a soul around, and that rusty, heavy door that had been ajar in Homestead 2, how it slammed shut, and in an unpressurized space with no conventional explanation. And I was proud to tell everyone that was brought to the attention of our team by the insiders.
That's true.
It was the diligence of the insiders kind of watching and standing vigil and trying to observe what was happening that actually helped us focus in on that event, which continues to defy any explanation. Seeing that kind of movement, and it disturbing and abrupt movement in that space, and being able to capture that on video to be able to analyze and play back was a great privilege. And I have to give a lot of kudos to our insiders. You can expect that we're going to be more and more engaged in the weeks and months to come, and you can also expect that what we have to reveal in the months to come, I think, will be quite gratifying. I think it's going to be quite rewarding to everyone as they are following the journey, especially as we can drop some breadcrumbs without getting in trouble with every step of the way moving forward. Eric, Thomas, Dragon, Caleb, that event that was an insider attributed observation and part of the real observational science effort. Any thoughts on that as we've gone back and analyzed that event in Homestead 2?
Well, you've already named some of the important features. You mentioned that volume, that kitchen area of the homestead is not pressurized. Again, for those who don't know, because the whole room is porous. The windows have been,
That's a kind way of putting.
Yeah, it's a nice
piece of shit.
it's a nice-
Holes in the no windows.
Yeah, so I describe it as porous because, in fact, yes, all the windows are broken out. There are holes in the ceiling that go all the way out through the roof. The point being, and I think you were making this point, Brandon, that in the case of this door slamming shut, it is unlikely to have been the result of wind, pressurizing, coming in and pressurizing that environment and causing the door to shut. We are further instrumenting that area, of course. There's some work ongoing to add, cameras, microphones, instruments, even below that structure, but underneath Homestead 2, also up in the attic area. We want to understand when we see things like that happen. We want to understand why are physical objects moving around? Why are we hearing the sounds that we're hearing? And so, for those who are joining us in real time through the Insider program, I'm sure it'll be gratifying, exciting to see those things in real time.
Well, let me show just for everyone. For those of you who've missed this, I'm gonna play this, and I'm hoping the sound comes up. You'll have to bear with me here, but I'll show you. This is the event in question, and again, thanks be to the insiders. Let's see if hopefully the sound works. Stand by. Hang on.
I see it. We see it, Brandon.
You hear that?
Yeah. So this.
Did that sound come across?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can see the space. You've got snow right there. You have dry leaves, debris, all the windows shattered. You know, there's holes in the windows and everything. As you mentioned, it's not a pressurized space. This rather heavy rusted door was standing ajar, and at 1:39 a.m. on February 23rd, it was an interesting event. I'll play it once more and then I'll exit out. Anyhow,
Yeah, we clearly we want to know what to make of things like this.
but I
It's
appreciate you guys. I'll pass the baton. Love you all, and I'll let you guys wrap up the event.
Hey, thank you,
Good to see you,
Brandon. Thanks
Brandon.
for sharing your Egyptian experience. That was neat. Thank you.
Yeah, what a trip.
Yep.
Unlock the secrets of Skinwalker Ranch with insider access. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes content, deep dives into experiments, live chats with the team, and 24/7 live access. Join now for a free 7-day trial.
So I'll share something that's happened this past week. Last week, I went and got a brand new phone, brand new Samsung S Ultra 23, whatever, the latest one. But haven't had any problems with it. And then we got ready to leave for the Skinwalker Ranch live tour, and I went out to the Triangle to do a video. And if you guys saw my Facebook Live video I did out there, my wife was actually holding my phone, my new phone. It's the first time that I'd taken it out to the Triangle, and I'd had it for about a week up to that point, no problems. And then she was recording. It said it was recording because, and then when we got done, she hit stop. But then when I went back, it had cut us off at it had cut me off in the middle. Quit recording on its own. It didn't indicate on the phone that it had done that. So, and I have a local carrier. I have 5G across the whole ranch, so I got great service. But then the interesting thing is the next morning when I woke up, my phone started to blow up with messages from my contacts. I believe it's 8 different contacts. And they were like, "That's quite the message you sent me," and I was like, "What the heck?" Now, these are individuals I haven't texted in a long time, and random. I couldn't find any common thread as to why this group of 8, but my phone was randomly sending out gibberish messages. Everybody got their own unique message. Some of them got more than 1 or 2.
That sounds really familiar.
And it didn't show up in my text thread. And then one of them keeps sending, I thought they were Chinese characters, but when I put them in Google Translate, nothing would come up. But then when I put them in Korean, which I believe the Samsung's made in Korea.
It's a Korean company.
So I don't know what the tie is there, but my phone is now sending out messages to my contacts, but they're not showing up in my message thread. So they're sending screenshots of me sending these messages out, but I haven't sent any of those. So and they're not showing up in my phone. So the only way I know about this is people are screenshotting them and sending me a screenshot of the messages I'm sending to them. I'm gonna get those screenshots, or at least the message parts, and I'll get them uploaded to the Insider website here in the next couple of days, so you guys can look at them. But found it interesting that my phones work fine till I took it over the Triangle. Then I get cut short on my Facebook Live, for some unknown reason, and then the very next day it starts sending out all kinds of messages to my contacts. So, anyways, I found that interesting, and I'll post the messages are just gibberish, and I'll post it up there.
Hopefully, they're nothing damning.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the insiders will look at them and say, "Oh, that's like Greek for something." I don't know, but anyways, that's something that's happened the last couple of days. I found kind of interesting, and it also correlated with some. You've been having some interesting things happening with the equipment, because I know when I came and showed you my phone, you had mentioned that you'd been having some issues with the cameras.
We just had that conversation today. Actually, we've had some experiences with the surveillance assets, the cameras one in particular, just to the south of Homestead 2, has been doing some things that are out of character and really things that are not supposed to happen. I can describe it. I don't know that it's going to help anyone to hear it, but the camera is reporting in its internal logs that someone has removed the memory and reinstalled it, or hot swapped the memory. It has rebooted. There are gaps in the recordings showing up. And just for the record, this is a brand new PTZ camera, very recently installed on a 10-foot tall post, just to the south, just feet away from the backside of Homestead 2. The name of the camera is NEX S, or South Nexus. So that's something that's been new.
I'm not saying the ranch is the cause of it. Of my phone. I want to be clear here.
But have you ever had any issues off the ranch?
Well, no, it's just interesting that, for a week it's good, and then I take it out the triangle and immediately, and now I'm having problems. And just so you know, like, I'm very careful about the apps I do not have TikTok on my phone. I'm very careful about the apps that I download. And I'm not saying that things can't, but the timing is always suggestive. That's what drives me crazy about this place is the timing. I mean, it might not be anything, but it's
right when you're trying to accomplish something in service to the investigation of the ranch that this sort of thing seems to take place with a brand new phone. Like,
why was it fine until I went out the triangle?
Yeah,
I mean, it could be purely coincidental, nothing to it, but
certainly a lot of the effects that we see are in and of themselves easy to dismiss. However, it's the time, place, and circumstance that are really suggestive. We keep finding ourselves running into this sort of thing, and I don't want to, if you will, round down, and say, well, this is something that we can just dismiss. I want to pay attention to these things. That's what we're here to do. And so I've started keeping a record of any anomalies that are happening with, in particular, that camera just to the south of the homestead, to see whether there's any kind of an emergent pattern.
It's interesting. Well, how much time?
Since we're on YouTube, are we supposed to be taking questions like we generally do? I don't know.
Should we take 20 minutes worth of questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I think we have a mechanism for getting questions in here. Let me take a look here.
And while they're pulling those up, it was good to see our insiders on the road.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for coming out.
Yeah, and you know what? It's fun when I know we gave just a brief shout out to our insiders at each place, but you guys were the group that knew what we were talking about when we were talking about the south part of the ranch. It was fun to be able to reference that you guys already knew the views and kind of the history there, whereas the rest of the audience was hearing it for the first time. So it was fun to kind of throw it to the insiders and be able to know that there's some people in the audience that knows what we're talking about. We're not just up there trying to.
No, and then afterward, when you came up, it was always great. Wearing your insider T-shirts and letting us know that you were card-carrying members. You guys really are vital, and I know Brandon somewhat expressed this before he left, but we do appreciate just how much of an interest you take, how invested in what we're doing you are, and how you're very vigilant in watching and pointing things out. Like, look, I need to go put the bars back up on the door of Homestead 2 because I forgot to do it after I left.
Did someone mention that?
Yes, they did. So the cows can't get in. So yeah, we appreciate it. You guys are amazing, and it doesn't go unappreciated by any stretch.
Well, I'll tell you too, it's the point that we get stopped almost everywhere we go. And sometimes I'm in a hurry to get done what I need to do or get going where I need to go. But anytime somebody lets me know that they're an insider, there's been times where I've been in a hurry, but somebody tells me they're an insider, that catches my attention, and I want to hear what they have to say. I want to converse with them. So you guys really are special. We appreciate you, and we really do look at you like an extension of our team. So all right. Okay.
To kind of answer some of these questions that I've been seeing throughout, if you guys go get on the Insider website, we've, like, just for example, this last year, every time an episode came out from the show, within a couple days, we were actually doing a recap of the episode. And so if you aren't an insider, again, I'm just answering some questions here that I've been seeing on the chat here. If you're not an insider, that's what the insider page is we do things like this. And whenever a new episode comes out, for instance, we jump on within a day or two and we sit down and take questions and go into more depth of what was going on and give you guys more information in regards to the things you don't see in the show. Because again, many of you hear us say this, but you're only seeing less than a percentage of what's filmed.
Yeah, oh goodness, we calculated it was less than 1%. Yes.
Yeah, and so there's a lot that's not shown, and that's again why we wanted to do something like this. And so yes, we do go in and we do a lot of things like this, and we have the Discord page, we have the live stream chat where we jump on when we can and we answer questions, or we just hang out with the insiders. So to answer some questions, yes, we do go into more depth on a lot of stuff. Tonight's kind of, we fly by the seat of our pants sometimes, and this, this is a great example tonight.
So I'm going to squash this. There's a lot of questions about Blind Frog Ranch. No, Brandon hasn't bought it. No, we're not associated with those people. I don't watch the show, so I don't know what they're claiming or saying, but that's somewhere that's several, 50-something miles away. That's not associated with us. So if you want answers to that, you better find their insider program, I guess.
We wish them the best, but we're not associated anyway.
Nope.
So do we have our questions?
Ryan, are you able to bring questions up?
Maybe not.
Maybe over there on the right.
I think I see something there on the right.
Is the white whale.
Okay. So the question.
So it's in the.
So I'm reading a question that has been elevated here. It says Pete Kelsey has said that the secret of the ranch is the white whale to his Ahab. Are you also obsessed? I've heard Pete say this before. He says, this place is my white whale, casting himself in the role of Ahab. He's experienced so many strange things with his tech, different drones and so forth. So the question is, are we similarly affected?
What do you? Am I obsessed with this place? No.
Yeah. It would be, I'm concerned that if I were to say no, folks would point out the obvious, and that is, well, you're here all the time.
Yeah.
So, I would say, this is my assignment, this is my job, my role. I don't know if emotionally I'm engaging with it in the same way that some people might, but definitely challenged by what we see here and wanting to get to the bottom of it.
I think kind of going along with that, Eric, is I look at it like, do I appreciate being here? Yes, I do. And I've really enjoyed having the interaction that I've had with you, especially over the last couple of years, the amount of time we've been able to spend together being out here all the time. And I've really tried to take a different viewpoint on it, or a different perspective, if you will, and really trying to look through it and look at these experiences that I've had on and off the ranch in different ways, and try to really learn from it, And so it's to say that I'm obsessed with it, no, but there's definitely a lot of really cool lessons to be learned from these experiences. And some of the insiders have heard some of my personal stories that have crossed over into the law enforcement world, if you will, and the things that have happened over here at the ranch. And I've seen some very interesting overlap. And so it's something that I think it's just, I really appreciate the opportunity of being out here.
They can't hear us?
Yeah, please let us know if there's any issues with the audio. We want to make sure that you can hear us.
Yeah, and you talk about an obsession. I don't know that you can be associated with this place and have the type of change in your perspective in reality and life and the possibilities of things that you didn't previously understand or think were possible or within that box of understanding that you had. And so, if that qualifies itself as an obsession, then yeah, I'll say I'm obsessed with the place. I'm obsessed with trying to figure out what it is that is truly going on within the space that we cohabitate in, and that the things that I thought were real or not real before have been changed. So yeah, I'm not ashamed to say, yeah, I'll say if Skinwalker Ranch is Pete Kelsey's white whale, then I'm right there with him holding the harpoon, because I'd sure as hell like to know what's going on here. Absolutely.
Yeah, I I never came onto this place with interest in the paranormal. I didn't believe in it really when I came on. I came on for the pure fact that I got to come someplace that had been locked out from the public. The public had been locked out of, so it was kind of the novelty of being able to go someplace that nobody else could. And at the same time, for a small town business guy like me, the opportunity to rub shoulders with the likes of Brandon Fugel and Jim Morse, which was the only two I knew at the time, that was too great of an opportunity to pass up. So I came out here for the chance that it gave me to rub shoulders with those guys and hopefully develop a working relationship with them. And I could have cared less about the paranormal, which I'm grateful. To this day, I still haven't read any. I haven't read any Skinwalker books or watched any documentaries. I've watched our show, but paranormal is just never on my radar, and so it's hard. The word obsessed to me, just to me, it's definitely changed my life. I mean, it's altered my life in very dramatic ways, but it's not something I think about every moment of the day. It's I don't know. It's like,
Yeah, it's
I
hard to
don't
say.
know how to put it into words.
It's an interesting question.
Yep.
Yeah, there are some questions that I've seen. I've been watching the text as it scrolls by in the YouTube chat. There are some insightful people who ask questions about possible correlations with celestial events like meteor showers, phase of the moon, and so forth. And I know you've heard these questions before yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
There may be an uptick in a particular type of thing that our insiders are detecting with these geomagnetic or these solar events that happen sometimes. We're still looking into this, but we're talking about very short duration, fleeting events that some of our insiders are watching play out in the live stream. Who knows? These may be energetic particle collisions with the imaging sensors in our cameras. I don't know. But as going back to the original question, have we noticed any correlation with the phase of the moon or something of that sort? And I have not. Have you guys?
It's
No,
hard to put a finger on something like that. I wouldn't say that anything jumped out.
Maybe in 50 years when we have a longer timeline of things happening and someone takes the time to go back and look and maybe see some kind of pattern, but right now, no.
Yeah, we're all at the mercy of the fact is, it just takes time to build up a robust statistical database. And the good news is we're doing that in a very transparent way with lots of people watching from around the world. I personally, I love it. I think it's a great way to do it.
And I think this question that I saw pop up kind of goes along with this, is they're asking, I understand all data is valuable, but what do we consider is the most important or the biggest breakthrough that we've seen? And I guess in my mind,
that's a good question.
It's going to come out probably here in another couple months. So a bunch of you insiders know what I'm going to say next. Stay tuned.
The I think everybody groans when they hear that, but
Yeah, I don't like sitting at this table when the phrase "stay tuned" is the answer to the question, because it's it's really not in my nature to keep people in waiting.
no, I think I hate saying it as much as they hate hearing it. I think.
I know.
Well, that's what we're beholden to. So just know that it'll be exciting, and we're anxious for y'all to see what we've experienced over the past year for sure.
But I think that people that are looking for, I will say that to me, season 5, which we just finished filming not too long ago, and will be coming out sometime in the spring, I would imagine. They haven't announced the date yet, but to me, it was a season of discoveries. As far as I felt like we found maybe more answers than we have in the past. So to me, it was kind of the season where I felt like maybe we got a few answers that we were looking for.
Well, certainly there's one particular circumstance, I know you guys know what I'm talking about, where we got good, repeatable data in specific locations. Yep. And that's very satisfying to me as a scientist. I know that it's just satisfying to us on a common sense level to see the same things happening again and again and again under the same circumstances in the same location.
And no matter how wacky those things are.
Right. I'm trying to share it and not share it at the same time.
Right.
And also at the same time getting some very tangible, like hard data.
Yep.
Stuff as well. I think you guys will be happy with what we found.
And kind of going back to like the repeatability, and the breakthrough. I think we have multiple pieces for a big breakthrough.
So there's a question here in the blue here. What kind of new technologies do we have to look forward to with the new Omnitech partnership? So that's one question. And just in a nutshell.
Yes, Eric. Expound.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot on the table in our partnership with Omnitech. Some of the things we're putting in place, as many of you know, include applying machine learning to the data that's streaming in from some of these multi-sensor platforms. We have a few platforms distributed across the property that are looking at things like GPS displacements or anomalies, electromagnetic, like an RF. Like think of it as a spectrum analyzer that integrates. Also, just magnetic field, just multi-sensor, multi-physics measurements that are being made at various points and brought into a system that's looking for patterns in those data. So that's part of it. There are some other aspects that are still I think, very much in their formative stages that I think we'll see by bringing on the guys from Omnitech on our team. There was another part of the question, but it's no longer there in the blue. Shoot.
It's okay.
It's all right. You answered the first part.
Okay. The nature of the time anomaly with the balloon in the next season. Time anomalies.
Yeah, I would say we definitely address that sort of thing in the next season. We'll leave it at that without giving anything away. But it's definitely followed up on, and we've seen some interesting things, and we'll leave it at that.
I wonder if that's referring to the Lunasong.
It is. They saw that because that's what they've seen, but they're asking if there's anything coming up. But I would say yes.
Yeah.
So we often struggle with systems on the ranch getting out of sync relative to time. We do have a common time base, what's called an NTP time server on the ranch that is supposed to keep all of our instruments synchronized. Nevertheless, we do see episodes in which, in particular, out at the Homestead 2, we'll see the timestamps of things jumping around and so forth. I'm still trying to drill into what might be the cause of that.
Can we? They never played the one incident that took place out there.
I wish we could talk about it.
Is it free game?
I don't know.
They didn't play it. Is it going to? I mean,
it's frustrating, isn't it?
The music.
Yeah, the music.
I don't know if they're going to use it or not.
So I'm gonna describe something at high level, without
Well, I
this.
think we should just talk about it anyways because they had their chance.
Fine by me.
Yeah.
They'll learn if they want to put it on TV. They have to, and they want first dubs. They better put it on,
Oh goodness.
right?
Yeah. So yeah, this sort
If
of
you don't
thing.
see me next season, you'll know why.
Yeah, this sort of thing makes us all a bit uncomfortable. But there are events that play out that we share with our documentary partners, and sometimes those events make the final cut, and sometimes they don't. You have to remember that what Prometheus and the network are sharing are hopefully kind of a coherent narrative. And sometimes there are these kind of offshoot events that happen that don't really fit into that narrative. And so it isn't clear whether we should be talking about those events or not.
I almost seem to remember Brandon talking about it once publicly. I always take my cues from Brandon. If he says it publicly, I'm like, all right, Brandon said
Okay.
it publicly. We can talk
Yeah,
about that.
sure. Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because wait. Before we share, I've got to make sure that I've got my it should have played last season, right? Like
At least.
it happened in time for them to show it.
That's
Oh,
what
certainly.
happened.
Yeah,
yes.
certainly, yes.
But it didn't.
They didn't play it.
Well, I think we should talk about it then.
Well, I wouldn't know if it showed or not because I never watched any of it.
Well, my feeling is they had their chance to show it, and they didn't. So we should be able to talk about it.
Well, I think the thing is
That's
they
gonna
always
get
talk
me in
about you
trouble,
never
I
know when
know.
they're going to bring it up.
I know that's going to get me in trouble.
And
All right.
Go ahead.
Well,
I think you'll
Now
be
you're
fine.
being baited to do it. I see.
I
Yeah,
see,
go ahead. I
I-
think you'll be all right.
I see some comments there.
all right. Well,
Spill the beans, Thomas. I mean, to set the stage, we had some work being done on the ranch.
yes. Well, so specifically, we were doing some restoration. We had some guys come in that specialize in restoration of old structures, and Brandon had hired them to come in and do some restoration on Homestead 2 and the carriage house, as well as Homestead 3, and so they were out there working, and you had quite a few assets trained on their work.
Yeah, so all the cameras operating out at the homestead were running and recording. I had been off site. I spent the evening off site. I had just come back to the ranch, and I decided to check in on our guests, those who were doing the work. And within a few seconds of my pulling up the cameras, I observed something very strange happening. Oh boy.
Well, listen,
The sounds that I was getting weren't right. There was something very wrong with the sounds.
yeah.
You guys are doing the best tap dance I've ever seen. It's fantastic.
Well, none of us want to be in trouble, but at the
Right.
same time, I'm like,
It's good stuff.
well, there's the thing of it is,
Well, it's widely known that we did restoration work to stabilize the structures out there.
and it was our cameras that captured it.
Yeah.
Yes. And all I wanted to do
I
was
know
to
what
make
Brandon
sure.
would say.
Of course, we all know what Brandon would say.
Okay, so they're out there. He tunes in with the cameras, and they've got now. Remind me, it was like a
Bluetooth
Bluetooth
audio.
here,
Yep.
right?
They were listening to music.
Okay, Bluetooth speaker, listening, streaming music, and here we'll get in trouble together. What did you hear?
The sound wasn't right. That's all I'm going to say. The imagine you're listening to a phonograph. I'm not taking a side here. Imagine you're listening to an old school, like a record player, and the thing's speeding up and slowing down, speeding up and slowing down. That's what I heard.
Yeah, crazy. And I don't know a lot about this, but I guess from what was being said that digital music shouldn't be able to do that. Right?
No, hell no. It shouldn't do that.
No.
And they weren't messing with their equipment when this was just like happening.
Yes, and keep in mind, what is the context here? We have a group of individuals who are making radical changes to the structure at Homestead 2 in the interest of preserving the structure, but nevertheless, doing actual carpentry out there. And all I wanted to do was just check in and make sure they were okay. That's what I do. And as I was listening to the audio feed, none of it made any sense. It was doing things that I'd never heard before.
Right. For those of us that are old enough to know that when we used to play records, vinyl records, and you could push down on the record a little bit and it would slow it down, or else you didn't have it at the right speed
Yes.
that the record player was recommended for, it would make it sound really slow, or else speed it up really fast. So you sounded like the Chipmunks or something like that.
Yeah, that's a very analog kind of thing. It's not a digital thing.
It's not generally what you would think that you would see or hear from digital music being Bluetoothed from a telephone to a speaker.
And just as interesting, and maybe even more so than my reaction to this and what I was getting on this end, was the fact that they were getting on their end. It got their attention.
Mm-hmm.
And they were perplexed by it. They didn't understand what the hell was going on.
And it was correlated with the clocks on the cameras jumping around as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't keep the clocks.
Well, that area has persisted in generating all sorts of problems with the timestamp on our video record.
And I am not too young to remember the 33, 45 to 78.
Yep.
I remember.
I
remember doing that in my little
Oh, yeah.
cassette tape and speeding up.
What are you guys talking about?
But
Okay, youngster. There are these big round black things with a bunch of lines in them. You put a needle on and it played music back in the day.
I think we did such a horrible job of explaining that even if they do show it on television, they'll still be surprised by what they see.
I agree.
Yeah. So the at the highest level, the heading is time doesn't always seem to operate the same way out at the homestead.
Yeah.
At least as observed from here.
You might actually have this recording somewhere, Eric, but this actually reminds me of something that happened around the beginning of season 3 when we were filming, I believe. So I had 2 things happen with my phone. I don't think I've ever told this story before, but I came onto the ranch one day. This was the first incident, and I tried to make a phone call, and it was to my wife, but the call never went through to her end. She never got a missed call from me or anything. Mm-hmm. But my phone, it connected. And on the other side of it was this very strange, mechanical, almost, what was the word that you should, like someone was messing with sound. And it was just really strange. And I was coming up the lane here and trying to get to Eric so he could listen to it. And the moment I come through the door, it ended the call. And I was like, you got to be shitting me. And so it was about a week later that I was actually in here with Eric, and Travis was out on another part of the ranch looking for some things that had to deal with one of the experiments. And Eric asked me to give him a call, so I tried calling Travis, and it did the exact same thing. It never connected to Travis's phone, but the phone call I was making, it connected to something, and the exact same sound and like strange modulation and this weird like mechanical modulation, and it started coming through, and I put it on speakerphone. So, because I got really excited, I was like, Eric, listen to this. And Eric got his phone out and actually recorded it. And so, and I just remembered that. And then what was really cool was about a month later, if I remember right, we had an individual who brought some heavy equipment out for one of our experiments, and we had some really crazy stuff happen with that. If you get with Jake Huffman's bulldozer, but he came up to me when he first got here and was like, hey, something really weird just happened with my phone at the front gate. And he described the exact same thing that had happened with my phone.
Yeah.
And so it really makes me wonder if we pull up that recording, if we can find it, and compare it to what these guys heard out there at the homestead.
Well, what we heard in that case that you're referring to is not unlike a phonograph record speeding up and slowing down. It was there was no, it was hard to determine what the tune was. It'd be fun to play that whole thing, and get and I don't know, not just to play the surveillance recording, but also to get the reactions of those guys who were out there doing that work.
We'll have to see what we can do.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, thank you for joining in tonight. I know this was a little bit different format. We appreciate those of you that joined with the insiders as well as on YouTube. I've seen some comments where people are interested in this. We would love it for those of you that are not members of the Insider program. If you want to get more content, be able to participate and look at our live stream cameras and have Q&As like this on a regular basis and things like that, we'd love to have you. Thanks those of you that joined just because of your interest in the investigation and what you've seen, whether it be on the program or online or whatever. Thank you those that came out to our live event. Thank you to those that just support us. We appreciate it. We're all invested in this work. We all appreciate so much, the support. We never thought going into this thing that it would be anything remotely like what we've gotten ourselves into, sometimes in a good way and sometimes not in such a good way. But we're here, we're dedicated, and we thank each of you for both logging on tonight, being part of the Insider program, and watching the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch on the History Channel. I can tell you, season 5 is going to open a lot of eyes, much like it has ours. I think we're all suffering a little bit from PTSD from some of the things that we experienced this year. But it's going to be exciting, and we'll have more good content both on the website, the Insider website, as well as coming in season 5 of the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. And we're excited for everybody to be a part of it. Definitely.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. They kept asking about my hat, so I had to go.
There it is.
I went in my office. I got my hat.
That's
Except
right.
That was season 3. This was season 2.
Okay. So
What?
he's a man of many hats.
Season
Yeah.
5.
Unlock the secrets of Skinwalker Ranch with insider access. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes content, deep dives into experiments, live chats with the team, and 24/7 live access. Join now for a free 7-day trial.